You open Instagram for 5 minutes, and somehow it's been 45. You weren't even that interested, but you're still scrolling. You feel slightly anxious, maybe even overstimulated, but you keep refreshing anyway. If that sounds familiar, here's the important part. You're not lazy, you're not weak, and you're definitely not lacking discipline. Social media platforms are engineered using powerful psychological principles. The same influence science used in casinos, advertising, and high-stakes negotiations. These systems are designed to capture attention, trigger emotion, and keep you coming back. In this video, you'll learn the exact psychological mechanisms keeping you hooked, understand the research behind them, and walk away with a clear ethical influence blueprint to regain control of your attention. This is educational content, not clinical or therapeutic advice, but it may completely change how you see your screen. Let's start by removing the shame. A lot of intelligent, ambitious, self-aware people struggle with screen time. You can be disciplined at work, consistent in the gym, thoughtful in relationships, and still lose 40 minutes to scrolling without meaning to. That's not a character flaw. It's design. Most people assume overuse is a willpower problem, but in reality, it's a design problem. Social media platforms are built using what behavioral scientists call choice architecture. The idea that the way an environment is structured shapes the decisions you make inside it. When the path of least resistance is keep scrolling, most humans will keep scrolling. This isn't accidental. These platforms rely on behavioral psychology, attention science, and reinforcement patterns, systems specifically designed to hold your focus. The colors, notifications, infinite feeds, subtle vibrations, none of it is random. It's engineered. And here's the empowering part. Understanding influence makes you harder to influence. When you can name the mechanism, you weaken its grip. Instead of saying, "What's wrong with me?" you start saying, "Ah, that's what's happening." That shift alone restores agency. In this video, we're going to break down the core psychological principles that keep you hooked, clearly and practically. Then we'll convert them into awareness tools and counter strategies you can use immediately. Not extreme detoxes, not unrealistic discipline hacks, just intelligent control. Because once you understand the blueprint being used on you, you can build your own. If you want more control over your attention, hit like, so this reaches others who need it. Let's start with one of the most powerful psychological mechanisms in modern technology. Variable reinforcement. In simple terms, variable rewards are unpredictable rewards that make behavior addictive. You don't get the reward every time. You get it sometimes. And that sometimes is what hooks you. This is the same system used in slot machines. When someone pulls a lever in a casino, they don't win every time. If they did, it wouldn't be exciting. The power comes from unpredictability. The brain lights up not just when you win, but when you might win. Now think about your phone. You don't know when you'll get a like. You don't know when someone will comment. You don't know when a message will come through. You don't know when a post might go viral. That uncertainty increases dopamine, the brain chemical tied to motivation and anticipation. And here's the key. Dopamine spikes more from anticipation than from reward itself. The maybe is stronger than the payoff. That's why refreshing notifications feels compelling. That's why you check who viewed your story. That's why you open the app even when nothing new is likely there. It's not the content. It's the uncertainty. Now listen to your internal dialogue. Ineffective version. Just one more check. That sounds harmless. Logical. Small. But here's a more powerful reframe. This is variable reward pulling me. That sentence changes everything. Borrowing from negotiation psychology, especially tactical empathy, when you label a dynamic, you reduce its unconscious power. So try this in real time. This is unpredictability at work. This is variable reinforcement. You're not judging yourself. You're naming the mechanism. And once you can name it, you're no longer fully inside it. Comment awareness if you believe persuasion should always stay ethical. Now let's talk about one of the most researched principles of influence, social proof. Social proof is simple. We look to other people to decide what's normal, correct, or valuable. If everyone else is paying attention to something, your brain assumes it must matter. On social media, this principle is everywhere, and it's quantified. Likes, shares, comments, follower counts, view numbers. These metrics aren't just statistics, they're influence signals. When you see that 2 million people liked a post, your brain doesn't just process information, it processes consensus. And consensus feels safe. It feels socially intelligent to pay attention to what everyone else is watching. That's why trending content overrides your personal interest. You might scroll past something and think, I don't even care about this topic. But then, you see the engagement, and suddenly it feels relevant. Here's what that internal dialogue often sounds like. I don't even like this content. Your brain, but 2 million people do. That tension is powerful, because underneath it is something deeper. Fear of missing out. FOMO isn't really about content. It's about belonging. It's social belonging anxiety. The subtle fear that if everyone else is watching, laughing, reacting, and you're not, you're outside the loop, and humans are wired to avoid exclusion. So here's how you counter it. Use a calibrated question. A calm, strategic question that shifts perspective. If no one else liked this, would I care? Pause. Let your brain answer honestly. Then follow it with a, that's right, internal summary. A negotiation technique that creates clarity. I'm not interested. I'm reacting to popularity. That sentence restores autonomy. You're not rejecting people. You're rejecting unconscious influence. And the moment you separate your interest from the crowd's interest, you take back control of your attention. Another powerful force keeping you hooked is the principle of commitment and consistency. In simple terms, we like to act consistently with our past behavior and stated identity. Once you've done something publicly, especially repeatedly, your brain feels pressure to keep doing it. Not because you consciously choose to, but because consistency feels stable, predictable, safe. Social media platforms understand this deeply. Think about streaks, daily posting habits, follower expectations. See you tomorrow. New video every day. At some point, it stops being an action and starts becoming identity. You don't just post daily. You become, I'm someone who posts daily. And here's where it gets powerful. When behavior becomes identity, stopping doesn't feel like taking a break. It feels like losing a piece of who you are. Breaking a streak feels uncomfortable. Not posting feels like letting people down. Logging off feels like disappearing. That discomfort isn't weakness. It's consistency pressure. So here's the script shift. Instead of saying, I can't break my streak, try asking, what kind of person do I want to be long-term? Notice the difference. The first sentence traps you in your past behavior. The second one reconnects you to your future identity. That's influence, turned inward. Here's a quick exercise. Write your current digital identity sentence. Be honest. Maybe it's, I'm someone who always responds immediately. I'm someone who stays updated on everything. I'm someone who posts every day. Now rewrite it consciously. I'm someone who uses social media intentionally. I'm someone who chooses when to engage. I'm someone who values depth over constant presence. You're not deleting your identity. You're redesigning it. Type yes in the comments. If you want more practical phrases you can use in real conversations. Now let's look at another powerful influence principle. Reciprocity. Reciprocity is simple. When we receive something, we feel pressure to give something back. It's one of the strongest social rules humans follow. If someone gives you a gift, does you a favor, or offers value, you naturally feel an urge to return it. That instinct helps societies function. It builds trust and cooperation. But on social media, reciprocity gets amplified. You receive free content, free education, free entertainment, free motivation, and subtly, the pressure builds. I should like this. I should comment. I should support them. I should at least engage. Sometimes it's explicit. Giveaways, exclusive drops. I did this for you. Sometimes it's emotional. Imagine a creator says, I worked so hard on this. You might genuinely appreciate the effort. But underneath that appreciation, something else appears. I should at least engage. That feeling isn't random. It's reciprocity pressure. Now, let's be clear. Supporting creators you value is not wrong. Reciprocity itself isn't manipulative. It's human. The key is awareness. So here's the counter technique. Instead of acting automatically, label the dynamic. This is reciprocity pressure, not judgment, just clarity. Then ask yourself a calibrated question. Would I still do this if I felt zero obligation? If the answer is yes, great. That's authentic support. If the answer is no, now you've separated appreciation from pressure. That separation restores choice. Ethical influence always respects autonomy, both yours and others. And when you can distinguish genuine desire from subtle obligation, you take back control of your engagement. Another psychological lever social media pulls constantly is authority. Authority, in influence science, means this. We are more likely to trust and comply with people who appear credible, expert, or high status. In the offline world, that might be a lab coat, a title, or years of experience. Online, it looks different. Blue check marks, professional aesthetics, large follower numbers, verified badges, high production quality. These are authority signals, and your brain processes them instantly. Before you evaluate the content, you evaluate the status. And once someone appears high status, your critical thinking often relaxes. That's authority bias, the tendency to trust signals over substance. You might catch yourself thinking, they have 500,000 followers. They must know what they're talking about. Notice the shortcut. Status becomes a substitute for evidence. Now, sometimes authority signals are earned. Expertise exists. Credentials matter. But social media compresses credibility into visual cues, and those cues can be manufactured. So here's the script shift. Instead of, they must know, ask, what is the actual evidence? That single question reactivates your agency. You move from passive consumption to active evaluation. Another useful internal reframe. Am I persuaded by the idea or by the packaging? Reclaiming influence means evaluating ideas, not popularity. Substance, not status. Logic, not aesthetics. Authority is powerful because it reduces uncertainty, but clarity comes from curiosity. Share this with one friend who's smart, but keeps getting pulled into endless scrolling. Now let's talk about scarcity. Scarcity is one of the most reliable principles in persuasion. We value things more when they feel limited or temporary. When access feels restricted, urgency increases. Attention sharpens. Decision speed accelerates. Social media is built on this. Stories that disappear in 24 hours. Limited time drops. Flash sales. Only available today. Last chance. Even content that isn't truly rare is framed to feel scarce. Why does this work? Because of something behavioral economists call loss aversion. The tendency to feel losses more intensely than equivalent gains. In simple terms, you feel the pain of missing out more than the pleasure of gaining something new. So when you see, only available for 24 hours, your brain doesn't think, that might be useful. It thinks, If I don't act, I lose. And that triggers anxiety. FOMO, fear of missing out, isn't about excitement. It's about avoidance of loss. It's your brain trying to prevent regret before it happens. But here's the question that restores control. Instead of reacting automatically, pause and ask, what happens if I miss this? Let yourself answer honestly. Most of the time, the real answer is probably nothing major. Maybe you miss a story. Maybe you miss a trend. Maybe you miss a limited drop. But does it meaningfully change your life? Usually no. That realization deflates urgency. Scarcity works by compressing your timeline. It makes everything feel immediate. When you stretch the timeline back out, even mentally, you weaken its pull. You don't need to reject everything scarce. You just need to decide from clarity, not anxiety. Now we move into something even more subtle and more powerful. Emotional arousal increases engagement. In simple terms, the stronger the emotion, the longer you stay. Platforms have learned that outrage, fear, controversy, and anxiety generate more clicks, comments, and shares than calm, balanced content. So the algorithms naturally amplify emotionally charged material, not because it's healthiest, but because it performs. Calm nuance spreads slowly. Anger spreads fast. Fear spreads faster. And here's where it gets personal. Humans experience emotional contagion, the tendency to unconsciously absorb the emotions of others. When you scroll through outrage, your nervous system doesn't stay neutral. It mirrors what it sees. You might start your scroll feeling fine. 10 minutes later, you feel tense, agitated, slightly anxious. And you don't even know why. So here's the critical moment of awareness. Instead of automatically engaging, arguing, or diving into the comments, try this internal dialogue shift. This post is making me anxious. Then label the mechanism. This is emotional amplification. Labeling creates distance. It moves you from being inside the emotion to observing it. Then practice a small reset. Pause. Take one slow breath. Ask yourself, do I want to feel like this? That question is powerful, because engagement isn't just about time. It's about emotional state. And if you wouldn't willingly choose the feeling, you don't have to continue the exposure. Influence loses power when you slow it down. Outrage thrives on speed. Control thrives on pause. Now let's examine one of the most invisible, yet powerful design features: friction removal. In behavioral science, friction refers to small obstacles that slow behavior down. When friction is removed, behavior becomes automatic. Social media platforms are designed to eliminate friction. Infinite scroll, autoplay videos, seamless transitions. No, are you sure? Pauses. There is no natural stopping point. And when there's no stopping cue, your brain doesn't know when to disengage. Compare that to a book. Books have chapters. TV episodes have endings. Even meetings have closing statements. Feeds have none. You don't reach the bottom. You don't complete the experience. There's no psychological closure. So your brain stays in what we could call time dissociation. You lose awareness of how long you've been engaged. 5 minutes becomes 30, not because you chose 30, but because nothing signaled you to stop. So how do you counter frictionless design? You add friction back intentionally. Move distracting apps off your home screen. Turn off non-essential notifications. Use a timer before opening an app. These aren't extreme measures. They're structural adjustments. You're redesigning your own choice architecture. And here's a powerful calibrated question to interrupt autopilot. What was my original intention? Not, why am I so bad at self-control? But, what did I open this for? That question brings you back to purpose. Let's bring this together into a clear, practical blueprint. You've seen the mechanisms. Variable rewards pulling you in with unpredictability. Social proof convincing you something matters because everyone else is watching. Commitment and identity making it hard to stop because this is who I am. Reciprocity creating subtle obligation. Authority signals fast-tracking trust. Scarcity triggering fear of missing out. Emotional arousal amplifying outrage and anxiety. Frictionless design removing natural stopping points. None of these are accidents, and none of them mean you're weak. Now let's integrate this into a realistic scenario. It's evening. You open your phone for 5 minutes. First trigger, a notification. Variable reward. You don't know what it is. Pause. Label it. Unpredictability. You open the app. Second trigger, a trending post with massive engagement. Social proof. Ask, if no one else liked this, would I care? You scroll. Third trigger, a story that expires in 24 hours. Scarcity. Ask, what happens if I miss this? You keep going. A controversial post spikes your emotion. Emotional amplification. Pause. Breathe. Do I want to feel like this? Then 20 minutes pass unnoticed. Frictionless design. Ask, what was my original intention? Notice what's happening here. You're not deleting apps. You're not shaming yourself. You're interrupting automatic influence with conscious awareness. That's the blueprint. Here's your influence challenge. For the next 3 days, before you act inside an app, label the principle at play. Variable reward. Social proof. Scarcity. Just name it. Then write one intentional rule for your phone use. Not 10. 1. Maybe. I only open social media after 7 p.m. I don't check notifications in the morning. I ask my intention before I scroll. Influence itself is neutral. It can be used to manipulate or to empower. Awareness is what gives you choice. And here's the final shift. These same principles shaping your behavior. You can use them ethically in your own communication to encourage good habits, inspire action, and build trust without deception. Like this video, if you learned at least one technique you'll try this week.